Welcome back and good morning once again. If you're just joining us, this is still Daybreak Africa. Well, today we'll be discussing election that is a crisis amid the preparation for Kogi State folks. And on standby, we have Nurudeen, Shehu, who is a public affairs analyst, and he will be joining us via Skype. Good morning, Nurudeen, and welcome to Daybreak Africa.
Yeah, good morning, Fatimah. It's a pleasure to be here on Daybreak Africa.
Nurudeen, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Michael. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. All right, Nurudeen. We want to go to the discourse board. Firstly, before we dive into the full discourse, I want you to give me the analysis of what is really happening in Kogi State concerning the forthcoming election.
Well, okay. The forthcoming election scheduled to hold by INEC on the 11th of November 2023 is for the gubernatorial election, as you all know, for the battle who chose the successor to the incumbent governor Yahya Adoza Bello. You have the three major political parties. It used to be two, but somehow, as a fallout of the APC gubernatorial primaries, you will now have a situation where one of the aspirants in the APC, and who was at the time of the gubernatorial primary, he was a member of the National Working Committee of the ruling APC in the person of Alhaji Muritala Yakubu Ajaka. He has since decamped from the APC as a fallout of the primary, and he has gone to pick the gubernatorial ticket for the Social Democratic Party, the SDP. So before elections in Kogi State used to be a straight fight between the PDP, as the People's Democratic Party, and the APC. But right now there is a third force, a third wheel in the SDP via the candidacy of Alhaji Muritala Yakubu Ajaka. Yes.
Okay. Well, we know the way elections has been. You know, we Nigerians were always clamoring for free, fair, and credible elections. But we could see that it's filled with violence in this forthcoming. The election is yet to begin, but yet it's already filled with violence. What do you have to take on that?
Well, you know that elections in Nigeria are always keenly contested affairs because our style of democracy is a winner-takes-all kind of democracy. And that kind of democracy always lends itself to electoral violence, thuggery, manipulation, because the winner stands to win a lot, and the loser, in essence, is gambling. And when he loses, he lost everything. So basically, it's not just peculiar to Kogi State. Elections in Nigeria, because of our style of democracy, the Western style of democracy we are practicing, has made it a winner-takes-all affair, and the winner will do everything possible, the contestants will do everything possible to emerge. So on the threat of violence surrounding the November 11th election in Kogi State, I dare say that presently I'm in Kogi State, and basically what we've been seeing is that on ground, there is no much political activity in terms of campaign going on, even though INEC has officially lifted the ban on campaign. So the campaign is officially on. But what we see is that all the candidates for the parties, we have 18 candidates for this election, by the way. All of them, they are still kind of strategizing, consulting, meeting stakeholders and all. Yes, there have been pockets of violence, especially the famous one that happened sometimes 2 months ago between the convoy of Alhaji Muritala Yakubu Ajaka, the SDP candidate, and that of the incumbent governor. But then I feel that because of the emotions that is attached to this particular contest, that incident was blown out of proportion by the media. We, the people or the keen observers, political observers in Kogi State, to us it was like a storm in a teacup. But then we were surprised to see the media coverage of it on the national media, like it was people are dying and stuff. Take it from me, this election in Kogi State, so far in the build-up to it has been relatively peaceful and calm. Yes, of course, there will be pockets of violence because of the nature of our politics, but it is not yet something for us to put our hands on our heads and screaming, no, no, no.
Okay. Well, what about this ratio 16, 16, 16, given that the Kogi Central, Kogi West, and Kogi East have to have a fair share in ruling Kogi State? And this has caused a lot of issues uproar in Kogi State, knowing that a particular section of Kogi has not voted for the number of agreed yes for the others to take over. How about that? How is it fair on one party ruling for 60 years for one region ruling for 16 years and the other ruling for 8 years, and they don't want a fair share. What do you have to say about that? What's going on there?
Okay, well, this is it. If you, from my earlier answer, I made a statement that because of the emotions attached to this particular election. So basically, that's a very nice question, by the way, because this all ties in with why the Kogi State election, the November 11 election, is so high-pitched in terms of emotion. This is it. Since the creation of Kogi State in 1991, August 27, 1991, the first democratically elected leader was from Kogi East in the person of Prince Abubakar Audu. His administration was truncated by the incursion of the military into our polity again. That was in November 1993 by General Sani Abacha. And the military was to hold sway until 1999 when we had a return to democracy. By accident of political history again, Abubakar Audu, who was the first executive governor of Kogi State, became the second executive governor of Kogi State again, this time under the banner of the AMPP. And he was to be there for 4 years. He's from, of course, we know he was from Kogi East. That is the Igala speaking area of Kogi State. After that, another person from Kogi East took over in 2003. That was Alhaji Ibrahim Idris, still from Kogi East. And he was to rule for not just 8 years, he ruled for 9 years because during his second term, there was, in 2007, his election was annulled by the tribunal, and a rerun, what do you call it, a fresh election was held. And during that process, there was a brief interregnum when Kogi West, that is the south, the Yoruba-speaking part or the Okun-speaking part of Kogi State, when the speaker then, the then speaker, acted as governor of Kogi State for 3 months.
Of course.
So some political observers, they will tell people from Kogi, that is those who are invested in the Igala, Ebira, you know, ruling hierarchy, they will say, everybody has his turn in Kogi State, but the Okun-speaking people will tell you that 3 months is not nearly enough to be a governor of a state. And by the way, the then speaker, Clarence Olafemi, was an acting governor, not a real governor. So this is it, that the Igalas have spent at least 16 years in governance, because another Igala man replaced or succeeded Alhaji Ibrahim Idris. This was Captain Idris Wada. And he was even, in fact, an in-law to the person he was succeeding. That's Alhaji Ibrahim Idris. So in all these years, the other two senatorial zones, that's Kogi Central, where the incumbent governor is from, and the Kogi West, they were like kind of bystanders in the affairs of their state. And then, of course, it's natural for them to feel a sense of angst, a sense of frustration that they are not being allowed to have a fair share in the governance of their own state. But then, by accident of fate, in 2015, November 2015 to be precise, in an election that once again, Prince Abubakar Audu was leading in the vote count. He died during the process of the vote count, and by fortuitous or divine reason, whatever you attribute to it, Alhaji Yaya Dozabelo from Kogi Central became the first person not from Kogi East to be the executive governor of Kogi State. He did it for a full term of 4 years, and then in 2019 November again, he won his re-election. And basically, right now, the Igalas have spent 16 years in government. The Ebiras have had 8 years, but now the Okun-speaking side, that is Kogi West, they are now clamoring, please now, let us to have a fair share. Let us taste power. Let us see the sweetness. Let us see how we can use our own ingenuity to turn the fortune of Kogi State around. After all, you, the Igalas, Kogi East, you have had 16 years. The Ebiras, you have had 8 years. Please give us 4 years and let us, you know. So it's a fair agitation by them.
All right, Nurudeen. I want to take you back to the political crisis, that is the internal crisis. You agree with me that prior to the primary elections of the APC, most people were anticipating that the incumbent deputy governor was going to be the flag bearer, because most people were expecting, especially people from Kogi East, were expecting that, okay, the Sedo was going to be the one that is going to be elected. But some days to the primaries, we saw the drama that happened. Are you with me?
I'm with you, Michael.
All
It's a
right.
very good question.
We saw the drama that unfolded, and most people felt like, wow, this is a big slap. This is a big thing that we were never expecting. We understood that he withdrew from it. The primary took on. Most people felt like the primary was surrounded by a lot of irregularities. That's the primary that brought Ododo to limelight and everything. You could also remember that Smart Adeyemi took the situation to court because he lost in the primaries and he felt like, okay, these things didn't carry out good. He took the situation to the court, which was later held that, okay, Ododo won fair and square. Now, we have Muritala out of the party, pulling a very strong wave. Do you see all these crises coming together? And somebody is almost saying that, okay, Sedo has a hand in pushing for Muritala. Do you believe in that? And what do you make of this crisis? Do you see it coming as against the APC in the forthcoming election?
Thank you, Michael. It's a very good question. What I think is this: of course, there were a lot of intrigues, power play in the lead up to the APC primary in Kogi State, and that was in April 2023, earlier this year. But the fact remains that for us analysts who are keenly watching, the shenanigans in the Kogi APC, it wasn't a given, like you said, that the Deputy Governor, Chief Edward Onoja was going to be, the anointed for His Excellency Alhaji Adoza Bello. The thing is this, that yes, the Deputy Governor, the President Deputy Governor Sido, Chief Edward Onoja, was a frontline aspirant and one of those most likely to clinch the ticket or to be anointed by the incumbent Yaya Adoza Bello as his replacement. But you also have other strong aspirants like the Chief of Staff to the Governor, Pharmacist Mohammed Jamiu Asuku. Then you also have the Accountant General, who is a boyhood pal of His Excellency Alhaji Adoza Bello, Alhaji Jibril Momo. Then you also have Muritala Ajaka, who was a member of the National Working Committee of the APC's Deputy National Publicity Secretary. And then from those who might term as outsiders, you also have the former Executive Director of Rural Electrification Agency in the Dr. Sanusi Ohiare, one of the young guns who, also, of course, had an outside chance too of being picked as the APC candidate. And of course, you have Ododo there, that is the present candidate for the APC, and he was then the Auditor General for Local Government. So yes, there were a lot of intrigues in the primary, which is to be expected, because like I said, Governor Yaya Adoza Bello has proven himself over the years, since the past 7 odd years, that he is a master at political strategizing and at political survival. We thought that, most analysts thought that his adventure in the last presidential primaries of the APC will signal the end of his political, let me use a wrestling term here, chokehold on Kogi politics. But then somehow, Alhaji Yaya Adoza Bello, he evolved, and that is a very good thing for a politician to have, the ability to evolve, to not stay static, to be dynamic. Yaya Bello has it in abundance. And so by a dexterous mix of this, he was able to come out from that misadventure, if you can call it that, in the APC presidential election, presidential primary election or convention. And then he came out, and his power in Kogi State politics were intact. So it happened that all the aspirants, bar none, all of them were looking to be chosen by Alhaji Yaya Adoza Bello as the anointed, because they know that with his relentless force, once he pick any one of them as the candidate of the party, of course that person has at least 75% chance of emerging as his successor. It didn't happen.
I'm about to come in from this part too. You made mention of a lot of things that we are supposed to respect, especially a lot of big wigs in the party. Although we also understand the point of competency, and also some people feeling like it is my turn because I've served. Looking at competency and also what are your antecedents as a person, what can you say is the antecedent of the person of Ododo to have emerged? That is one. Secondly, we have three strong runners in the state right now. The person of Ododo, also the person of Muritala, and also Smart. These three people are very strong enough. Now, I want you to analyze their antecedents, their possibilities, and their approval rates that might possibly lead to them emerging as the next governor of the state.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Another great question there. The thing is this election, the November 11th election 2023, is going to be the most keenly contested election in the annals of Kogi State. This is because the three major candidates for the APC, the PDP, and the SDP. You have the APC, Alhaji Olodo Ahmed Usman, Abubakar Usman, who is, so to say, we can say he is the anointed one by the incumbent governor. Then you have in the SDP, you have, of course, Murtala Ajaka. And then for the PDP, it's not Smart Adeyemi, by the way, it is Senator Dino Melaye. The ebullient Dino Melaye. Of course, now these three people, what it has, that these three people have emerged as for the first time in the political history of Kogi State, you have three major gubernatorial candidates from the three senatorial zones in the state. Dino Melaye representing Kogi West, Alhaji Abubakar Ododo representing Kogi Central, and then Alhaji Murtala Ajaka representing Kogi East. Now, this is why I say the election is going to be keenly contested. As it stands now, from the standings and from my vantage point as an observer, it's going to be very difficult for any of these candidates to win by overall majority in the first ballot. So I foresee this election maybe going into a rerun. Yeah, it's going to be hard for any of the candidates as things stand now, and because of the emotion attached to this particular contest, the Ebiras, they said, okay, that is the Kogi Central part of the state where you have Ebiras, the Ogorimagogos, and sprinkling of Ebirakotos and Nupes. They said, okay, Kogi East has done 16 years. Let us do 16 years too. And then the Kogi West, they can come and do 16 years too. The Igalas, they said, no, we have spent 16 years out of power. Let us come into and you know, reclaim our what do you call it? So to say, our right, our mandate. Now, in the Kogi West, they are like, no, we have not. We have just barely tasted for 3 months as acting governors. Let us come in. So what you see is that it is like we say, like in the Bible, to your tent, to Israel. So right now, all the political gladiators and the major candidates of the three parties, they have gone back to their base. Murtala Ajaka in Kogi East, Alhaji Ododo in Kogi Central, and Dino Melaye. And of course, we also have a Leke Abejide from the ADC. And this is a factor that we have to bring in, that Dino Melaye, as popular as he is in national politics because of his antics in the Senate when he was in the 9th Senate, he is not that well liked among the political elites and stakeholders in Kogi West. So because of his nature, you know, ebullient kind of street, if you might use that term. So you find out that for the elites in Kogi West, they are much more amenable to the candidacy of the ADC candidate, Leke Abejide, because, you know, the Kogi Western people, they are well educated, cultured, and they have always been a bit conservative in their politics and in their outlook on life. And Leke Abejide fits that billing, unlike Dino Melaye, who is coming from left field, and his politics is, so to say, brash. So this is a factor that must be considered. There is Leke Abejide, who might likely whittle the votes that might accrue to Senator Dino Melaye in Kogi West. Of course, in Kogi East, all the major contestants for the other parties, they have choosing to step down for Murtala Ajaka. So, in essence, Murtala Ajaka is the consensus candidate for the Igalas or the Kogi Eastern speaking people. But then in Kogi Central, it is, of course, no-brainer that, of course, they want their own son to replace their own son, if we can put it that way. And in 2019, Kogi Central returned over 210,000 votes for Governor Yahya Adoza Bello. So if they can do half of that for Ododo, I do not think it will be enough this time around, because there are 5 local governments in Kogi Central, but you have 9 local governments in Kogi East and 7 local governments in Kogi West. So how you want to score 25% of vote cast in 2/3 of this local government? It is going to be hard for any of the candidates, you know, to do this. except somehow maybe the candidates for the APC and the candidates for the PDP, or the candidates for the PDP and the SDP, they strike an alliance at the last hour. So we shouldn't leave anything out. There is still a lot of times. Like we say, politics, anything can change in the next 24 hours.
Okay then, well, do you quite agree with the saying that the initial agreement made in Kogi, that is the same 16-16 rule, shouldn't have been agreed upon in the first instance, because you could have scenarios where we have somebody who is more competent and they've done their 16 years or 16 years rule. So why come out and you say because of applying emotions, as you said earlier, why apply that when you know this rule cannot actually be implemented throughout in the state?
Okay, I have to come in here and debunk this. It's popular in the social media and stuff, okay, or in the political discourse, that there is an agreement for 16 for. No. There is no such agreement among the founding fathers of the state. I can tell you that if there is any agreement like that, I'm sure that any of the political actors from Kogi East, Kogi Central, and Kogi West, they will have brought out the paper in black and ink and spread it all over social media. There is no agreement. It's just like the zoning for the PDP, the controversial zoning of the PDP in 2011, when Goodluck Jonathan decided to throw in his hat into the presidential race, even though PDP unofficially zoned the presidency to the north. You understand? Yeah. Because it was just a matter of principle. It is not a cast iron rule or agreement between Kogi, the three senatorial zones in Kogi State, that we will do 16 years, you will do 16 years, you will do 16 years. There is nothing like that. So basically, we need to put this out there so that our viewers are informed, and we can guide their judgment about the forthcoming election in Kogi State. There is no agreement to 16 years, not at all.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right, a very good clarification there. Now, this is something that has really much interested me. You made mention of this at the beginning of your statement, that it used to be just a two-horse race in the Kogi State gubernatorial elections before, talking about the APC and the PDP. Now, out of the blue, we have someone of Alhaji Muritala coming out. And is moving so much with a big force, like he's someone that has been there for a very long time. Can you give us a rundown of his antecedents and what has really made him who he is, that is really pulling that much crowd? Or is just an interest of the let me say, the tribes? Or is it interest of competency, or what the tribe just feel like, okay, is our son, he needs to just, this power needs to move to our place? Or is it an interest of competency?
Okay, well, Mr. Michael, a very great question again, but let me just raise this point that as far as political discourse in Nigeria is concerned, I think the word competence, we should start reducing its usage when we are talking about politics in Nigeria, because who knows who is competent, you know, until they get into office. You had some people
but we can talk about competency, maybe from what they have done in the past. Maybe they've held an office and they have delivered well. So we are talking of competence in that regard.
Yes, if you put it that way, then you can say that all the three major candidates, Senator Dino Melaye of the PDP is a former senator of the Federal Republic, a former member of the House of Representatives. So he's eminently qualified to aspire to be governor of Kogi State, and competent enough to be the governor of Kogi State. Alhaji Abubakar Usman Ododo, the candidate of the APC, is also eminently qualified. He has worked in the public service for many years, at least up to 20 years, in the former Power Holding Company of Nigeria, later AEDC. And then he transmuted to the Auditor General of Local Government in Kogi State, and has been holding that position for as much as 8 years, until he became the candidate of the APC after the APC gubernatorial primary. Then Alhaji Muritala Yakubu Ajaka, of course, is a seasoned politician, a successful businessman, and he has also been in the political discourse of our country for the past, let's say, 8 to 10 years. Remember, he was part of the National Working Committee, or the caretaker working committee of the APC, under the governor of Yobe State, Governor Meimala Buni. And then from there, he became the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the APC and a strong member of the National Working Committee. I mean, through that, he was able to make a lot of political contacts and connection with the APC governors as a member of the National Working Committee. So Alhaji Murtala Yakubu Ajaka is not a minor in this contest at all. He also is eminently qualified in terms of public service experience and political experience to aspire to be governor of Kogi State. So this is why I said that all the three contestants are evenly matched. Okay. And the issue of competence, I think it will be decided by the voters in November 11.
All right. You also made a very interesting statement at the beginning. When you were doing your analysis, you said there might possibly be a rerun of election. Now, mostly in Nigeria, when we hear such thing, we feel like, okay, the election might be marred by a lot of irregularities and things not coming out plain as planned. Why do you say so, and why did you feel like there's going to be a rerun?
Okay, yeah, I think I might have to correct myself here. I think the right word to use was a runoff election, not a rerun, by the way, because a rerun, you like maybe overvoting or cancellation of vote. No, that is not what we are anticipating here. What we are anticipating here is a case where two of the leading candidates, they do not secure the required 25% of vote in 2/3 of the local governments in the state. You have 21 local governments in the state. So basically, this is why I say that this scenario might arise. And for any of the strategists in the three major political parties, they might do well to pay heed to this kind of scenario arising. Like I said, from as an analyst, I feel it will be very difficult, except somehow any of the two major candidates are able to reach a consensus agreement to step down one for the other or to merge a political camp. But if it is as it stands now, let's say all the Igalas, they vote for Murtala Ajaka in the SDP, the Okun speaking side, that is Kogi West, they vote for Dino Mela or Lake Abeji, they give them 100% of their votes. The Ebera speaking people in Kogi Central, they give 100% of their votes to Alhaji Ododo. It will not be enough because constitutional requirement of 2/3 will not have been met there.
Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much.
And I must say, God bless Kogi State. And as we look forward for the forthcoming election, we believe everything is going to be fine and everything will come out super good. From us here, we'll be handing over to our Lagos studio, which we believe they have more juicy package to give to you. From here, I remain Michael Obagiri.
Anyways, God bless Kogi State as well as Nigeria at large. I am Fatimah Ibrahim.